Despite being from a sector not known for its effective implementation, IAS officers R.K. Singh and Pratyay Amrit took the bull by its horns and worked in seamless coordination to ensure the rescue and rehabilitation of the victims of the Bihar floods, the worst ever since independence. His contribution to the field of microfinance deserves a special mention. Social entrepreneur Vijay Mahajan wants banks for everyone, and so he founded Basics in 1996, an organization that is devoted to promoting rural livelihood in over 1 lakh households. That's our list of people who made a difference to millions of lives. Now it's your turn to decide. SMS IPUB to 52622 or vote on our website indianoftheyear.com.
So what is the definition of public service? Who is a winner in a public service category? All those questions, remember, you can log on to IBNlive.com, indianoftheyear.com and vote for who you think is a winner in the public service category. Joining us tonight, Rashid K. Kidwai, CEO of Grassroots Trading Network for Women. We have N. Vittal, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner, joining us, and right here in our studio, Jaya Jaitley, former President of the Samta Party and President Dastakari Heart Samiti. Thanks all very much indeed for joining us. Jaya Jaitley, everyone knows you as a politician, but not many people know that you have spent decades in public service. In our list, we have Baba Ramdev and we have Maulana Madni. Now, a number of people would consider these two choices controversial. But do you feel that those in the religious sphere or those performing what they're doing out of a spiritual calling need to be included in our definition of public service?
Well, I would think any person who is rooted in religion and does any work for the public based on the beliefs in that religion is doing a public service, and that is what that person is meant to do. In this particular case, Madani is of course in politics, but there is nothing wrong in religion being the anchor of any political activity. Ramdev is, I don't know why he would be called controversial.
Because he defended Sadhvi Pragya Thakur, the Malegaon accused.
Well, maybe that's the equivalent of what Madani does. But I think apart from that, that does not detract from the public service that he performs in providing consciousness for people about health, about their bodies, about not having to run to doctors or medicine, and sometimes just regular maintenance of the body in our traditional forms. That's what's very important.
The fact that yoga has been taken to 85 million people.
Yes, and not only in India, but it's the thing abroad also. Everybody has to do their yoga in the morning, and I think it's certainly a much better way of going about looking after oneself than popping pills.
Right. Mr. Vittal, let me ask you a question about another nominee of ours, Janagraha. That is the NGO that has started the Jagore campaign, that is putting pressure on citizens to vote and exercise their franchise. Is this a public service? In the absence of professional people actually joining politics, how useful or how impactful is simply an NGO which is asking people to go out and vote?
I think it's an excellent development that instead of just waiting, the people waiting for the government to take all the initiative, Janagraha shows that people by themselves can take initiatives and they become alert. After all, people get the government they deserve, and if the government has to change, or at least the functioning has to change, the awareness has to be created among the people, among the citizens, about their rights, about how they can become more effective. And to that extent, I think it's a very healthy, positive contribution to the society, and it's a good public service what the Jagore campaign is doing.
But how much impact do you think something like this can have?
No, now the impact thing, yes, everything will not immediately have an impact, but once you have begun, it is going to snowball. After all, take the initiative taken by 2 IIM professors to go to public interest litigation for forcing the candidates to elections to declare their assets, criminal records and educational qualification. And initially it was thought as an effort by 2 academics, but it has brought a dramatic change in the election from 2004. Similarly, the initiative of NGOs as a person who served for 42 years in government and now outside in retirement, I can see how once you are outside the government, people feel that they are powerless, and these people like Janagraha, they are making the people realize that they have the strength to bring about a change.
Right.
Yes, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and the beginning, you cannot start measuring the impact immediately.
Right, so Janagraha for bringing democracy to the doorstep. Now let's get in Rashid Kidwai. Rashid Kidwai, Vijay Mahajan is one of our nominees for public service, and he, as you know, is a pioneer in the field of microfinance. Now microfinance, or creating alternative livelihoods for millions of people across India, the role of microfinance is not adequately appreciated. Do you think it's time for more people to realize what microfinance is actually doing across the length and breadth of India, as was started initially by Seva and by Ila Bhatt?
I think Vijay Mahajan is doing a phenomenal job with basics, and based on his pioneering effort, a lot of other organizations have come into following in his footsteps. Having said that, you know, microfinance provides debt in the rural sector. For any business to run, you also need equity. I think people now need to start looking at a social venture fund so that there is some debt and equity. If large businesses need debt and equity, why shouldn't smaller and tiny businesses need the same? That's one side of it. The other part of it is, I think technology has to be brought in a much bigger way, because with microfinance, I believe the problem is the interest rates are high. Why are they high? Because people have to go out and find depositors and people to lend to. There's a cost of distribution. Whereas in banks, people come to the bank. It's much cheaper. So unless we can bring in technology, we will not be able to bring down microfinance. And I think there is a need to bring down the microfinance interest rates.
Jai Jetli, you had a problem with Vijay Mahajan as a public service.
Well, I think we have to define public service first. Public service didn't mean the kind of thing Gandhi did. Even take the Janagraha campaign. Any campaign for anything, whether it's for democracy or voting, is as effective and useful and necessary as a campaign against AIDS or a campaign for family planning. I don't think one should take just a campaign as a public service. It is a campaign, and that's it. A campaign is not a public service. A public service is a long period of time devoted in public life where there is a certain amount of selflessness in which you are bringing something to people who otherwise cannot have it.
So the chairman of ISRO, Madhavan Nair, who is also a nominee, and R.K. Singh and Pratyata Amrit, who are the two IAS officers who have worked in flood relief in Bihar, you would not consider these nominees for public service?
No, I would not, because they are public servants, which are different from public service. Public servants are paid by the public exchequer to do a job. If they're doing their job well, that's jolly well what they're supposed to do. In which case, what you're saying is everybody else is getting a salary just to sit there, and here's somebody getting an award because he's doing what his job pays him
Okay, Mr.
to do.
Vittal, is that a problem that we have in our nominee list, that we are rewarding people who are simply doing their job? We have Madhavan Nair as chairman of ISRO, Team ISRO, and we have two IAS officers, R.K. Singh and Pratyata Amrit, who are doing sterling work in flood relief. Now, Jai Jetli's contention is these are people just doing their job and enhancing the mandate of their job. Why should they be classed as public service awardees?
No, that is because in India today, people are not doing the job they are supposed to do. We are in a country which is dysfunctional, which is not performing. So in a country, in a society where people are not having a sense of accountability, where people don't deliver and people are not doing the job they are supposed to do, if somebody does it and becomes a role model, I think that has to be recognized and appreciated. We cannot just take that everybody is supposed to do his job,
Yes,
and therefore what is
in this
great about
particular
it?
case,
It is great because it is India. We are not talking about India now.
Well,
Indians
I
don't
wouldn't
work
like
and
to put down India as a whole, but I would say that if there is a minister who is above these officials, it's the minister's job to get people to get up and work. We can't say that a media house has to give an award to somebody to motivate them to do their job, while everybody...
No, that's not why they're being motivated, honestly
No, but they
speaking.
would be, because what Mr. Vittal is hinting at is that because in India nobody works, there's no harm in giving an award to somebody who does work. I think that's crazy. What is the minister or prime minister or anybody else doing to get their whole department to work as they should?
Well, hold that thought. We'll come back to this point. We'll come back precisely to this point, Mr. Vittal, after this tiny break, where we'll ask really what is the definition of public service. Is it scale? Is it innovation? Is it affecting the maximum number of people, being impactful? We'll talk about all those definitions, but do start voting on who you think should be Indian of the Year of 2008. Voting starts from the 12th and ends on the midnight of the 22nd of this month. The winners of each of the 6 categories will be announced from the 26th to the 31st of January, and the Indian of the Year will be announced in our grand finale event that will be held in Delhi on the 2nd of February. So do log on to indianoftheyear.com and vote. See you after this tiny break.